Well, I got to admit, poetry isn't exactly my thing. Um, for me, the extent of my knowledge of poetry is frequently misquoting Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, or reciting word for word Andrew Dice Clay's dirty nursery rhymes. So, yeah, that's how broad my knowledge of poetry is. I mean, I've heard poetry, I may have read poetry. I couldn't recite or memorize poetry in any fashion. Hell, overall, it's hard enough for me just to find the time to read a book. And even then, it takes almost a Herculean effort for me to actually sit down and read. But cinematic poetry, that is definitely something I can get into. With directors like Kurosawa, Scorsese, Jodorowsky, um, and Cronenberg or Lynch, their imagery speaks volumes to me, and the poetry that they put into that frame, there's like filled with all the detail. That kind of poetry I can actually connect with, but I'm not in any way denigrating actual written poetry. There's definitely an audience for it, and I can totally appreciate it. But I don't really spend that much time actually trying to seek it out and listen to it. So I find it kind of surprising that I really enjoyed Jim Jarmusch's Paterson, which is about a man who writes poetry. Not just any man, he's an average Joe, the guy next door, your bus driver. And Jarmusch's film, which he also wrote, takes a look at 1 week in the life of this man named Paterson, who happens to be a bus driver in Paterson, New Jersey. And Paterson likes to write poetry. He lives with his the love of his life, Laura, who's also a creative type who loves to create and design things like shower curtains, dresses, loves to bake apparently, and really wants to become a country western singer. So they're perfect for each other as they're both creative types and they both work off of each other and they both totally support each other's endeavors. And basically, the film follows Paterson on his day to day life, working as a bus driver and going through his routine, but also going into just where he finds his inspiration for his poetry. Now, I know most people would think poetry is supposed to be like nursery rhymes or something like that, but I'd be the wrong person to actually give you the actual terminology as to what a certain type of poem is. But many of the poems that he writes are like aren't exactly don't rhyme. They're just like almost like random thoughts pieced together, like me talking about my Guardians of the Galaxy poster back there. If I were to just randomly wax eloquently about it. And basically, that's just basically what goes on in this film is that it introduces us to Patterson's life, and it just takes it day by day and shows us what he does on a daily basis, what his life is like on a daily basis, where he finds his inspiration for his poetry, and how everybody around him appreciates his poetry and appreciates him for who he is, and his friends and the people that are in his life are actually quite amusing, and from like for example a couple in a long running spat, Lewis and Everett is actually quite entertaining. The owner of the bar that he frequents every night, Doc's Bar, is he's really an interesting guy, and let's not forget his dog Marvin, who basically really wants to get his attention as well. But Jarmusch's film it's very much a Jim Jarmusch film. Um, it's not flashy or anything like that, and maybe it's not everybody's cup of tea. I'm sure there are people out here who probably would find Paterson quite dull, but for me, I was drawn in, quite engaged, and actually liked spending time with these characters, and I totally appreciated Paterson's poetry and like to see where it came from. And Paterson is played by Anna Driver, and Laura is played by Golshifta Farhani. They are really good, and their chemistry is great as the couple. And you really like these characters. I'm sorry, Marvin. I'm forgetting Marvin too in this family. But it's a really tender, entertaining, sometimes funny, and insightful, and an engaging drama about poetry and creativity and support, and where the most basic and banal things can inspire some mind blowing, thought provoking dialogue and poetry, and that's what Jarmusch is tapping into, who himself kind of dropped out of the film world to become a poet. So I guess this is his response to let them know what he's been up to, and we're all the better for it. I would have to give Paterson 3.5 stars out of 5. It's an entertaining and enjoyable film, but again, like I said, it's about poetry, so it might not be everybody's cup of tea. For me, I enjoyed it. It didn't blow me away, but still I enjoyed it, and I liked the being with these characters. So 3.5 stars out of 5 for Paterson. If you like this review, hit that like button below. Have you heard about Paterson? Have you seen Jim Jarmusch's other films? What do you think of poetry? Written poetry, cinematic poetry? Who's your favorite poets? Please comment below and let me know. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do, so you can stay on top of my new reviews, retro reviews, trailer reactions, and any of the fun things I put up on my channel. And also, by the way, if you've already subscribed to my channel, be sure to click on that bell by the subscribe button so that you can activate the notifications so you can stay on top of when I post my new reviews and any other fun content. So until next time, my friends, we'll see you at the movies.